Hey everyone, today we're going to have a look at a bunch of weird and wonderful builds from Korean Challenger solo queue. Obviously it's preseason, there are lots of things everybody is trying out, but hopefully you can get a few ideas from this and have a little bit of fun. Before you say it, a lot of this is actually deliberately not just about Dark Harvest, because I know everybody can kind of use it and it's not that interesting anymore. So we have a lot of like weird stuff, but we also have a lot of stuff that is genuinely just really good. To kick us off, basically everybody in Korean Challenger, every AD carry main is trying out Grasp of the Undying Kaelin. So the page is pretty interesting that they use. It's Grasp, it's Demolish, Bone Plating, Revitalize, or Overgrowth, then Overheal and Bloodline in the Precision secondary. It's designed to make you a little bit more tanky for sure, but you heal for a lot with this. Revitalize buffs all your healing, and then you have the Overheal for the shield, Bloodline for the lifesteal, and the heals from Grasp at the same time. For ranged champions, it works the same. Grasp is every 4 seconds in combat, and your next auto attack will deal bonus damage. It will heal you and permanently increase your health by 5. It's the same effects for melee and range, it's just that ranged champions have that at 40% as effective. As we said, you can also pair this with the new Overgrowth, by the way, to get more health out of it, like from Grasp and that at the same time. And it is better for non-tank champions after the little rework we had in the preseason. But basically, this whole thing heals like fleet footwork, it does damage, and it makes you more tanky for the rest of the game. Kaelin is all about auto attacks in the lane phase, right? And like she's going to have great range to make that happen, and you can reliably proc Grasp when it's up because of that. It's actually really oddly clever. Like it makes auto trading worth more in the lane phase, which is a big plus of Kaelin in the first place. And then she scales well, of course, and is harder to kill and is not limiting really her damage that much. Demolish is another nice addition to this page since tower plating is here now in the preseason. So the charge time was lowered, it was buffed in the preseason. It's easier to proc it now, and you're most likely going to be pushing anyway and getting more gold. A big thing, by the way, like why now, why not before? Maybe we didn't discover it, but probably it's because we can control our stat shards now in our rune page. Before, going Resolve kind of punishes your damage output, your damage stats to the start of the game, but now we can get attack speed and AD from the first 2 rows anyway, and it doesn't matter. There is another AD carry build that I've noticed a few have been playing, a bit more weird I guess, but still working and putting out some wins. It's Dark Harvest Ezreal. With double tier, I've seen it a few times there, and it does make some sense. It procs on your Q, but it also has an AD and an AP ratio on the keystone, so it definitely fits with like the mixed build and mixed damage. Your poke will be a little bit more deadly with that. You're going to burst harder as well when they're low health now, and you can even proc it with your W through minions, which makes it extremely easy and hard for them to stop or dodge it. I think in hard lanes, or if you get behind and they're not going to be low health anyway, it's probably going to suck. So you kind of want to keep that in mind, and Keptomancy is probably still going to be your default. Dark Harvest is just a bit more fun. One that's a little bit more weird, Atalia got rocked with the jungle nerfs in the preseason, right? Making her Q deal less damage to the same target, which obviously sucks for clearing the jungle. Since then, we've seen a lot more of her as a laner, but this time as a bot laner as the carry. The work ground, the area around when you use your Q, that was made better for the lane phase. The cooldown was reduced on her Q, and the mana cost was lowered as well to compensate. So that means that you have more push power and more poke in the lane phase. Plus, landing a combo on an AD carry is pretty much a death sentence, especially with the support following that up. It is with Dark Harvest as well. Since her Q can now proc it from a mile away, the poke style she has definitely fits that kind of keystone. It makes her just a little bit more deadly. You've also got the roaming later, and you can kind of gank your own lane. As how weird that sounds, like if you wall behind and you lock them in, right? Like you're kind of ganking your own lane in a way. It's also the same reason that some people are running Talia as a support now as well. It sounds very weird, but roams are good, poke is good, setup is good, and it does work pretty well. You have a lot of damage. Branching out from that a little bit, Brand is also now played as a bot laner as the carry, a bit more with the same setup and Dark Harvest. We saw this a little bit before, but it's now better because of the keystone, obviously, and because of the Leandry's buff that we had a few patches ago. The guy I saw doing this mostly rushes GLP first as well, which is a bit weird. He slows, but then he full combos because you can't really miss when they're that slowed. Basically, those are 2 new things that you can try bot lane instead of AD carries if you want to. Let's move out the bot lane now, and we're going to go to mid with Cassiopeia. So not a ton weird, but different, and maybe a new really strong build. Now, normally Cassiopeia runs Phase Rush, right? For the move speed boost to kite into Chase. Well, actually, everybody, and I mean everyone in Korean Challenger now, is playing Arcane Comet Cassio instead. They take Mana Flow, CDR, Scorch with Cheap Shot and Roundness after for the healing. Kind of normal, I think, but I'm pretty sure Cheap Shot is there because you normally get a Ryze or with your W or with your ultimate, and it's pretty underrated. Compared to Phase Rush, this wins a ton more. It's a really big jump. Like, she seems to be wrecking in every single game in Challenger at the moment, and I think this might be more of like a hidden OP build, honestly. Comet gets down to an 8-second cooldown late game, and remember, it's got the built-in cooldown reduction thing as well. So there's this part of it where if it's on cooldown, damaging them with another ability reduces the cooldown of the Comet. Single target, so like your E, your Twin Fangs, which you use all of the time, is a 20% reduction. Basically, late game with this, you're able to use your Comet all the time while you chase and spam. It's actually really clever. You don't think the cooldown reduction is an overpowered part of like Arcane Comet normally, anomaly, right? Because who can spam a single target spell except Cassiopeia? Now, this part is about the new Smite mid meta that we have a little bit of. So Korea loves it at the moment, and they definitely try to abuse it as much as they can. Karthus and Talon do this a lot, but that was kind of from like before as well. So we're going to look at Aatrox to start with. This is normally with Aftershock, maybe Dark Harvest as well, by the way, but they start Raptors. They get level 2 instantly from the camp before the game, and then they go mid lane to start the lane with a lead. They then farm camps close to mid when they can. They control the crabs as well for more gold. It makes a lot of sense, and you get so farmed, you get so much CS and so much gold. Aatrox with Aftershock lets you survive longer, by the way, when you dive in for a trade. A lot like Wireless Sandra works well with it. And another person is actually doing Galio, Aftershock, AP, and Smite mid. He pretty much does the same thing. He farms the Raptors, especially between waves from his Q, and he gets way more gold. He like instantly nukes his Raptor camp. It's kind of ridiculous. It's definitely a tilter to play against this because there's nothing you can do. They push the wave and then they go and farm the jungle. If you have a good AoE ability or some healing or you're tanky, this is really good to use. This is all, by the way, because they took out the funnel penalty thing that was in place to stop people actually doing it. It's not just the funnel strat that enables. It is the Smite mid, and this is another reason why Smite mid is coming back. Just quickly as well, Aftershock Aatrox jungle is really popular, like really popular at the moment in Korea. We mentioned it before actually, but he scales well. He has a ton of damage. He duels very well, like 1v1. Ganks aren't even that bad actually, and his farm speed is insane. The extra tankiness that you're getting from Aftershock is going to be a lifesaver. Like, trust me, honestly. You can either proc it with your pullback or you can proc it with your Q as well, but it makes you a monster, and I genuinely see him more in the jungle now than in mid lane, and definitely more than I see him top lane. Let's go for a really weird one. So there's actually a guy in Challenger on a professional team running Volibear support with Moby Boots and Predator. This guy is pretty much my spirit animal, even though he did go like 0-7-0 in ranked recently. So there is that. Maybe it's not like the most reliable build ever. The only interesting part about the runes, apart from Predator obviously, is Ingenious Hunter to use your trinkets and Predator more often because of the reduced item cooldown, and I believe Predator actually counts for that because it's on the boot. Also as well, he goes Tenacity and Precision Tree so that you can't be slowed as easily, and you can just pretty much run at somebody and there's not much they can do about it. It seems to be a pretty cool kill lane and engage as well, but then this guy actually runs Predator on Alistair, Braum, I don't really get that one, Syndra, Blitzcrank, even Shen. He seems to be absolutely obsessed, but the most common that he keeps going back to is Volibear. The Volley actually has some really good damage at the moment. He can interrupt dashes, which is amazing. His bite does a lot of burst damage, so he's not actually that bad of a champion. I think he probably fits mostly as a support more than anything else now. Let's look at a couple of pro players and what they're doing as well. So Deft has been using Karthus Smite bot lane recently, farming the jungle, minions, and a bunch of champions actually to get more gold in the game. Karthus bot lane isn't like a completely weird new thing at the moment with Dark Harvest, but I haven't seen many Smites rushing a Runic Echoes before. He actually takes Ultimate Hunter and Presence of Mind to be able to ult more as well, and even if you die a bunch, it doesn't really matter. This is why some people are coining this bot lane thing like an inting Karthus build. You had some buffs to your lane phase like a few patches ago, and also now you have a support as well if your bot lane to kind of protect you. It's not that bad at all. Normally you'd think that you just kind of like farm it up and it's nice and chill, right? But actually Deft plays him with any support, to be fair, but even aggressive lanes like a Pyke or a Vel'Koz to try and get more kills. So another pro that's doing something a bit different is Faker is playing Dark Harvest LeBlanc, which I haven't seen much of at all. It's normally still Electrocute because the single target damage is amazing, so most people are going with that. There are a few others doing this as well. It's not just him, but you can guess it makes your burst combo even more ridiculous, especially as you get into the game, and I think it just makes it a little bit more fun and your team fight is better. Faker runs pretty much the same build every single game, by the way. He goes Ludens, then he goes into his boots, which could be Sorks or Mercs depending on the matchup, Oblivion Orb, the penetration part of Morello, and then into Banshees. The key thing is like Faker is really aggressive in the lane phase, so he's going to be constantly proccing and getting Dark Harvest stacks, and that's probably why he's going for that over something like Electrocute. Plus it's just a little bit more fun. Electrocute is way more popular on LeBlanc at the moment, which is kind of why I'm slotting it into this video. But if anybody flames you, you can just say, well, Faker does it, so piss off and let me have my fun. Like, they can't really say that much. Let's quickly just take a look at some Kleptomancy stuff now. So with the Klepto buffs, we've seen a few champions, like a few new ones, but I've seen a lot of Jayce and Kenan in particular. Now remember, Klepto has 2 charges now after an ability, right? And obviously we want to use both of them to get maximum value, and it's kind of like a waste if you don't. So with Jayce, the really good thing is that you can just press W in ranged form and attack quickly, consuming them all. It's great. It's really good synergy. The reason you'd pick it over something else is kind of because like why Victor works actually. You can bully from range and get a lot of gold to speed up your build and kind of reach that mid game point just a little bit earlier. Jayce being ranged as well definitely helps. Like, don't get me wrong. You can also Q somebody and just like auto attack them. You can even jump in and stuff. So you're just naturally getting a lot more gold whenever you fight. Kenan is kind of similar. He's ranged. He has low cooldown ability. So in theory, he can auto and proc a bunch of times during the lane and get pretty rich. He doesn't really have like any innate synergy like built into his kit with an ability or something that makes it ridiculous, like a Lucian passive shots or Jayce's W. But you are going to be spamming abilities a lot. So even if you just get one at a time, it's not going to be that bad because you'll use your abilities a bit more often. You have energy as well, so you can keep it up forever and you're not going to run out of mana or anything like that. You're also just auto-attacking all the time as Kenan to bully people, but I guess that's enough to make it work really, and especially versus melee champions, it's just a lot easier. Moving on to one of our last ones. So even though Ryze is not that popular, Korea have started trying some really weird stuff on him to see if it works. The first one I noticed was Aftershock. Now, basically, like when you root somebody, you get really tanky and you're probably able to survive a bit longer. Well, you're definitely able to survive a bit longer, a lot like Lissandra Aftershock. It's actually exactly the same. Like as you go in to engage, you're just really tanky and you can't die pretty much, and that's why it works so well. You also get a little bit of use out of Shield Bash because you have the shield built into your kit and also Archangels at the same time, but you have Bone Plating, you have Overgrowth, which makes you really tanky, which was made better as well for non-tank champions. Of course, rounding that out as well, we have Tabbies as your shoes normally, so you're a bit more tanky, a big ass shield from the Seraphs, and double healing from Domination. So what we've got is a really tanky Ryze, more tanky than normal, that is going to heal for a bunch and still do a butt ton of damage. That sounds like a recipe for a nightmare late game. The other rune that I noticed was Kleptomancy Ryze, which seems even weirder, to be honest. Like I didn't even think this was going to work. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's not that easy to walk up and auto attack as a Ryze, right? Like most people kind of want you to do that so they can kill you. You do have like lowish cooldowns and you can bully as well. You can probably consistently get the stacks ready to use at least, which is a good part about it. It seems like he only does this versus melee matchups though. Again, anything ranged, he tends to like still take phase rush, at least the guy I saw doing it. So it might be one of those things that works in some games, but not others. So those are the new builds that I found from Korean Challenger that are actually pretty good, but also a little bit weird. I hope you enjoyed and found something new to test out. Let me know if you have any builds yourself that you've been trying and are really enjoying. Thanks for watching the video until the very end. And for now, I'll leave you with the robots.